G'day everyone and welcome to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'm Nat and this is kind of my midweek update, and this video is going to be mostly fairing related, I think. Right, so in an unusual expansion, in my dining room for once, let's have a look at this light cluster. So it's got 4, as I understand it, anchor points, one of which was still attached. So, which one was unmolested? That one was unmolested, that one was fine. So what I've had to do is, I had that one, that is now glued back on. That one is now glued back on, so that's the 2-part epoxy held together, and then put a little bit of electrician tape around the edge just to hold it in place, because this stuff is amazing, but it's not very sticky. So when you first use it, it won't hold it on, it won't hold its weight, so you need to get it on, get it slightly tacky, and then, or pretty much by holding it, and then I've whacked a strip of electrical tape around the outside and then took it off as it starts to dry. You can see it leaves a nice flat texture. Right, those were the easy ones. What I then went for, because I've got that lug but not that lug, that is a handcrafted JB World bodge. So that is the putty, the JB putty, which is pretty good. But so what I'm now going to do is get a bit of card, draw around that, flip it, draw around that, and try and shave this down to approximately the right height. Now it is not far off the thickness. Come on, camera. I know what I want you to focus on, even if you don't. There we go. So it's not far off the thickness, but I think with my Dremel and a few attachments I can probably get that to a decent size. Now the one thing I did notice on this is these 2 holes here. Right, they are threaded on the inside of there, and let's go and have a look on the bike for a second. Right, now on the front of the bike I've got these 2 bad boys with an R-clip in them. So I think, and I'll check the manual, now I think some threaded bolts on the back of the headlight into there, R-clip will hold it steady. That's what's designed to take the weight. Now at the moment it's just plastic, or in some places JB World, so I think that will help me out massively. Let's get on with shaping this plug. And there we go, from that to that, which isn't actually that bad. I'm just going to chuck a little bit more of the weld at the bottom there just to even out that flat surface, and hopefully just hold that a bit tighter. I'm quite happy with that. I have no idea if it's going to work. I don't think there's a lug on the fairing on the other side to attach this to yet, so that's probably going to be the next job, but let's get that done. Right, so that's the fairing upside down. I've just chucked the light unit back in, and it holds it together quite well. I have popped that repair already, which isn't surprising. It was only a suck it and see. It needs the mesh on the back to hold it together. It actually holds together quite well. Now I'm slightly perplexed as to what I'm going to do on this side. It needs that support, I think, on this side. Now I've obviously got my lovely new lug, but I've got nothing to attach it to. So I'll either attach it to the fairing, but it's only thin fairing, so I think what I'm going to try and do, I've got my banding here, what I'm going to try is do that under there, potentially to the screen, because the screen's actually just as thick as the element underneath it. So glue and wedge and bend around to try and get it under there. Let's see if I get any joy with that. I might have to take the screen off first, actually. Okay, so that's my mock-up one. So that is a few bits on there. You supervising dog. What? I haven't got any food.
yeah, so what I've done is I've made one that's I think about 3 longer to give me a good like glue surface on the side there. So that's now with my what do they call it, Super Steel 2 glued up on there. I've chucked another bit on that edge as well. It's not going to hold, it needs reinforcing on the back. I haven't got any of that mesh at the moment, but I thought I might as well while it's there. It's actually holding together quite solidly. I'm quite impressed. Obviously I've got a little bit more relief there. It might make putting the screen on a little bit more awkward. Worst case scenario, I just shave a bit of the inside of the screen, but I don't think I'm going to need to. It might actually do quite well to get pinched by the screen bolts. So I'm going to let that dry and see what happens while the dog supervises to make sure nobody tries to steal it. Am I boring you? Cheers.
And there we go, screen back on, and it seems to be relatively, he says carefully, solid, and supports its weight quite well. So I'm happy with that. It certainly supports it enough that I can start, you know, like sanding away at some of the excess on the other side from various other botched repairs as well as my own. Yeah, it's not staying in because I need to whip it all out to put the rear support in there. Now, it's about what's visible and what isn't, and I'm going to have to look back at an old video to work out what you can see and what you can't as to how much I need to tart up the inside. So, you know, do I need to paint that black, for example, so it doesn't look quite so obvious. Bottom bit's holding reasonably well. It might hold better just because it's held better in shape last time. Remember, I had like a ratchet strap around it last time, trying to hold its shape a little bit. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Now from the front, don't look too bad. It does look like this screen's too big for it, and certainly was bought that way. So I could try and cut it back, but I don't think I'm going to make half as good a job of it, to be honest. So I think I'll just leave it as is. I have looked at buying fairings, and in fact there's one that I quite like, and I'll stick up a screenshot just here. That said, I do like that, but it comes down to money. Well, no, it doesn't. It comes down to money. It's money in the spirit of it. Now, I could just buy a whole new set of fairings to chuck on the bike. Job done. But that's kind of not what I'm about. Partly, I mean, they're expensive, so that's the best side of 300 quid. Bearing in mind, what did I pay for this? 650? I can't remember. I'll check. But yeah, so any profit would be whipped straight out of that. That said, I'm not in this for profit. I'm in this for bringing a bike back to life, and I don't think sticking new panels on an old bike really flips my switch that way. I think I'd rather repair and repaint. I don't know. What do you think, people? Am I better off doing this, stripping it, repainting it, or am I better off just getting a new fairing set for it and go for a plug and play? My only concern is, I mean, I haven't really thought about paintwork and stuff yet, but you kind of lose some of your individualism by buying a pre-done kit. Oh, I don't know. What do you think, people? Help me out here. Am I on a hiding to nothing here? I'm not on the hiding to nothing, because even with a new kit I would have had to do this. It's starting to pull away a bit already. I can see with the tension it's under. I don't know. What do you think, people? What do you think? Am I better off doing this or going for a new fairing set? Back in the garage, that was spinning out a little bit, so I've re-glued it, and you can see I've also drilled tiny holes, 1, 2, and then one on the other side, and I've just kind of tied it off with wire, with some thin high grade wire.
hopefully that will stop that just pivoting and just give it a bit more support. I'm going to leave that to dry / cure, nicely held up. My thought about the 2 bolts going onto the 2 bolts on the front was completely wrong. It's the wrong height. I don't know what those bolts are for. I'll have a look up and find out, or indeed if you know, let me know. It does sit quite low and you don't really see these, but I am gonna, where am I am gonna go black on that, just to cover it up. I think I have pretty much decided that I'm going to do what I can with the fairings before I think any harder about replacing them. I just want to get those nice and strong, get it back on the bike for its MOT, see how the MOT goes, and then see what the score is. And I'm way off that at the moment. I still need to sort the brakes out, still hanging off. But yeah, oh, and I still haven't ordered a bloody license plate. Get on with that now. Cheers. And as a final bit, not really fairing related but other jobs related, I have replaced all the brake pads. They really weren't bad, to be honest, but they just needed a bit of a service, so why the hell not? Haven't tested them yet, it's too late, too dark, and I don't have the front cowling on, so I don't have a light at the moment. Speaking of not having light, looking at the back end, and now it's a bit daft to do this at night, but actually it's the best time to see it. So this, and Charlie pointed out actually, is a custom underplate there. You can't really get the fact that it's colour tinted unless I can find a torch. Where are you? There we go. It's dead. Wonderful. Yeah, you can't really get the fact that it's colour tinted under there, but it is colour matched with the rest of it. Now, because it's not the original, it's not quite cut. It's cut on a curve on the light for the plate. My new plate has arrived, and it is dark. So I'm going to have to consider how I'm going to do that. I might bring it forward a bit, fill in the holes. It's probably going to need a bit of a respray anyway. Fill in the holes, drag that forward, and have a think. But I do quite like the number plate. But then that's Knackers Yard on the bottom. Yeah, that'll do me for my midweek update. Weekend's task is definitely those fork seals, and a bit more thinking on the fairings. Undecided at the moment. Well, am I undecided? Well, I'm swaying one way, but I'm not gonna give that away yet. Not yet. Right, cheers all. I'll catch you later on.